Are you struggling with social skills, emotional intelligence, communication, strategic thinking, or success habits, all the while pursuing your dream of quitting your day job to run a successful online business? Welcome to the Life Sculptor Blueprint, a show tailored for determined and resourceful individuals who aspire to enhance their life skills, quit their day jobs, and succeed in owning an online business. This show delivers practical advice and inspirational stories, arming you with the necessary tools to sharpen your life skills and excel at running a successful online business. Jack Wolf here. Episode title, Know Your Whys and Your Why Nots. Let me give you a brief overview of what's to come. First of all, we're going to study and understand the importance of knowing the reasons for improving your social skills and knowing the opposition that stops you from pursuing them. Key highlighted area of this discussion, why you may not have successfully improved your social skills up till now to the degree that you would have liked. We want to talk about how motivation and opposition play critical roles in this journey. So we all have an ideal life that we want to live, and generally speaking, our motivations drive us toward that ideal life, and our fears attempt to hold us back. But why? I mean, your fears exist for a reason, right? They're generated over a lifetime as an attempt to keep you from putting yourself into a dangerous position or making decisions that will end in misery or disappointment. These things are given, and I doubt you're going to argue with me over this at this point. But what I'd like to say is that there is something I call the critical realization, okay? And here you go. The real enemy of your story is not your fear, and it's not your lack of motivation, although many people love to argue that it's a lack of motivation. They say, if I just could find my motivation, I would get up early and I would do the things I know I need to do, right? That's not your enemy. Your real enemy is inaction. Your excuse is lack of motivation or fear, right? Those are things trying to pull you back. But the real enemy is, did you or did you not act in a way that was consistent with what you want? So let's be totally platonic here as we investigate. Let's say we really don't care why or why we do not accomplish something that we desire, okay? If you strip that away, then what is left? The answer is simple. Did you or did you not act in the capacity that would bring your ideal life into reality? So before you answer here, make sure you subtract any actions that are associated with your survival from this equation, okay? What do I mean? Everyone has bills. Everyone needs to eat. Everyone has family and relationships that have to be cared for and nurtured. So any activities that support your baseline income and family responsibilities don't count in answering this question. Did you or did you not act in a capacity that would bring your ideal life into reality, right? So 5 years from now, you'll wake up, you will have survived, you'll look back on your life, and you'll acknowledge that it is possible that you simply ran on a hamster wheel of survival and responsibility, thinking that you were moving toward your end game goals, right? But really, you were just investing in survival. The real enemy of this story is inaction. Will you look back on your life and be able to say that you invested into the things you needed to invest into? You learned the things you needed to learn. You did the things you needed to do beyond the base level requirement of your survival and responsibility in order to move you toward your dream and ideal life. So now, let's move into discussion about knowing your why and your why not, but understanding that action or inaction is the real fulcrum by which you will either have or not have your ideal life, okay? I don't want to get lost in this material apart from understanding that your real enemy here is inaction. So with that being said, your victory lies within taking decisive and massive action. So your whys and your why nots become leverage to your actions, right? Your whys and your why nots help you move the boulders you otherwise could not move apart from a change in your awareness, your understanding, and a fresh commitment. All right, let's talk about understanding your whys. Your why, as far as I'm speaking of it, is the goal and associated reason for requiring an improved social skill in your life. Now, most people have one of three reasons behind almost any serious action in their life, okay? Number one, purpose. Number two, people. Number three, pay. What do I mean? Purpose. People will invest into something that they would not have otherwise likely invested themselves into had they not had this burning desire deep within their life to fulfill a special purpose, to realize a dream that they seriously want, growth that they need. Number two, people, when they realize that they're either a relationship is missing in their life or they're about to lose a relationship that they would otherwise like to keep, they will jump into massive action. People, the motive, will drive their behavior. And finally, number three, pay. The motivation of pay is king for those who have no concern for their purpose and very little concern for people. Pay can be a serious motivator, especially if they're in a very needy position and there is just no hope of moving forward until they increase their pay. You have a dream that falls under purpose. If you have this desire for deeper, more fulfilling connection, that falls under people. And if you just have a general desire for freedom in your life, independence, then that would fall under the pay motivation. Let's talk about the psychological impact of your whys and how they affect your decision making and your growth pursuit. So it's not enough to want to conquer your enemy for the sake of conquering it, right? Nobody gets up in the morning and just says, I love the fight. People fight because they want what's on the other side of that fight. It's difficult if your goal is personal growth, right? If that's your only motivation, I want to attain personal growth today, but you don't know why, you don't know what's on the other side of that pursuit, then you're going to give up very quickly. Some people say, I want to look good in a bathing suit, so I'm going to watch my weight, right? And that's it. Why? Why do you care? Why do you care what you look like? And if they can't answer that question, if they can't come to some deeper truth in their life, such as I want to be healthier, I want to live longer, I want to be able to have the energy to play with my children, I want to know that I'm not going to die early in my life, right? Those are your deeper values, but just losing weight for the sake of looking good is going to fall apart every time, right? There's so much power when your motivation is clearly defined down to its essential component. You need to know what your dreams are to the point where you can see them, feel them, taste them, touch them, and describe them to that degree. And these dreams have to be within your reach. They have to be attainable with a milestone that is easily accessible, especially in the beginning. All right. Let me talk about the dual nature of the unobtainable why, right? Sometimes people will form a dream. It's impossible for them to control. It's outside of their reach for the most part, and it sits as a trophy motivator in their life, and they talk about it with other people. They talk about it in a big way, leading people to think, wow, that person is really a dreamer. But really, that dream is just a barrier to moving forward outside of some form of misery, okay? So if you have that person who tells you, I want to be a rock star, and they really have no way of getting there, or I'm going to win the lottery, right? Things that are outside of their control, but they dream about it in the one day. Those are not things that you can realistically work toward. They're only things you can talk about, think about, and medicate your misery with this possible one day I won't be in this position any longer, right? So don't fall into the unobtainable why trap. Make sure that what you have is within your reach and that there are milestones that are easily accessible right now. I'd love to hear from you listeners. Maybe that you reply in an email. What was a moment where you locked onto a particular why that propelled you forward in a certain area of your life? Switch directions to discussion number 2. Understand your why nots. Let's discuss how fear affects your ability to pursue your goals and the reasons for those goals. Fear creates discomfort. If the impact of the discomfort outweighs the desire to obtain your why, you will not pursue your goal wholeheartedly. So fear builds unhealthy habits that can sometimes be reinforced over a lifetime. These patterns must be interrupted by desire of incredible mass and force. I call these cycle interrupters. So the doctor tells you you must lose weight or be dead in the next 6 months. That's a massive cycle interrupter, right? Your wife tells you she can't live under the current conditions that she is living in any longer. And this is the end if you don't get your act together. Cycle interrupter, right? You lose your job and your survival instinct kicks in. You're now willing to dig ditches and shovel snow and do whatever else you have to do to survive, right? Cycle interrupter. And finally, you become so fed up with you that your current situation is now on the table to the degree that you're ready to make a commitment to make a move of extraordinary decisiveness and focus that you will shift everything in your life in order to make that situation change, right? So it's important that you stop medicating any pain in your life, all right? You need to bring the full weight of all of your raw emotions to bear in order for this to work. And we call this the judo roll. Not sure if you understand judo. It's a martial art technique where the person using judo uses their opponent's force against them, right? So they redirect a punch, they redirect a wrestling move in such a way that the energy that the opponent has created to take down the person in question is now diverted and used against them. Right. And so as this opponent rushes forward, the person using the judo maybe pulls that momentum to the ground. And now that person finds themselves, rather than hurting their intended target, they find themselves now on their back, lying on the floor and asking the question, how did I get here? Right? This is what we have to do. We have to use our pain to drive us in the right direction. It has to be controlled, but the full weight of that raw emotion must come to bear on the thing that we no longer want in our life. So here we go. Ready? Let anger drive you to make a change. Sometimes we're so busy trying to medicate our anger and calm down and stop feeling miserable that we spend our energy fighting the anger and we never make a change. How about this? Let disappointment be the motivator for learning a new approach. Sometimes we're so busy medicating our disappointment, right? 2.5 beers to calm down and stop feeling so disappointed so we can get up and do the same thing again tomorrow is counterproductive. But if we allow the disappointment to drive us to the place where we are now ready to learn something new, then that disappointment is serving its intended purpose, right? The opposite of fear in your life is regret. Let me explain. If you flip fear from what if to what if I don't, then you get regret. All right. So a bully is picking on you and everything in you tells you to defend yourself, but you don't. And you allow this bully to just take advantage of you, right? And this happens all the time in life. We're not talking about real bullies. We're talking about huge challenges that will bear down on us, right? And you ask yourself, what if I try to engage this bully? And you allow fear to shut you down and allow the thing to happen as it wants to happen in your life. But if you just simply flip that and you ask this question, well, what if I don't engage this? What will happen if I don't? How will I feel? You understand that regret is the thing that's on the opposite side of your fear, right? I wish I had engaged is the battle cry of all those who have woken up after the fear is gone and they realize, man, if I could have just done something, it would have been better than doing nothing. So talk about some practical strategies. First of all, we want to write out our whys. If this is hard, you know why you're stuck in life, okay? If you can't write out your whys, if it's too difficult or too much of a bother to actually write them down, then you know why you're stuck. You may not have developed a voice or maybe you don't have a sense of freedom or skill to have your very own set of dreams and motivations, that would be the reason for, say, not being able to write out your whys, right? It's very characteristic of any who are victims or slaves coming out of that victimization or slavery. They just don't know what it's like to have a voice and write out their whys. They never had freedom to make decisions. If this is you, and if you're thinking back to your childhood or maybe to an early marriage or something where you were damaged and hurt, well, you actually have a reason. Now, that's not an excuse, but now your new target painted in front of you is, it's now time to stop being a victim or a slave. It's now time to develop and find your voice. It's time to accept your freedom and the responsibility that goes with it. And it's time to work to develop the skills needed to be able to articulate to those around you and to your own life your motivation, your whys. All right, next, I want you to write out your why nots, okay? We don't want to glorify them. The reasons why we don't make massive changes in our life, don't glorify those reasons, but at least know why they exist, okay? Ask yourself then, once you write them out, are they really true? And for so many of us, we'll start to find out that our why nots are just excuses and they're not really true. They're just designed by our fear to justify why it's okay for us not to move forward. Then we want you to write out how you can diminish their size in your rearview mirror. You know, it makes me think of the writing that you might see on some car mirrors. It says, objects may be closer than they appear. Have you ever seen that? Yeah, we want to create distance between your why nots and the impact that they emotionally create in your life when they appear, right? So we want you to be able to look back in your rearview mirror as you pass right by all your why nots, and we want them to appear further away than they really are so that you've diminished their importance, okay? They're still there, but you're not held or bound by their influence any longer. And then lastly, we want to teach you how to judo your emotions. This is something that you want to do. Turn your anger into motivation. Stop trying to calm your anger. Instead, direct it. If you don't like something, be pissed off and change it, okay? If you have disappointment in your life, stop trying to feel better about yourself. Let yourself be disappointment and let that disappointment drive you to a state of learning something new. And then lastly, if you have fear in your life, you need to flip that and understand what is the regret that's on the opposite side of this fear. If I give into this fear, what will I regret on the other side? And then you want to find ways to avoid that regret at all costs. What's one thing that you could do today that would help you know that you engaged and have nothing to regret today? All right, moving into our third segment of this podcast. I can hear some of you are asking this question: how do I embrace a mindset of learning from failure rather than being disappointed or living in fear? And the answer to that is setting manageable goals to build your confidence, right? Nobody goes from 0 to 60 in the area of confidence. You just need to ask yourself, what do I need to do next to get closer than I was today, right? What do I need to learn in order to be able to do that thing that I know I need to do? That's when you're taking massive and decisive action. Find ways to interrupt your cycles. Stop trying to be comfortable. Comfort is the enemy of action, okay? Commit to yourself that you will stop medicating. Now, for some people, that's eating unhealthy, like sugar or fat, or breads that they know is not good for them, okay? For some, it's overeating. For some, it's drinking. Like, some of us need to just stop drinking for a while, okay? Just go dry and allow the full weight of pain and fear and all of the emotions that go with that to sit on us and drive us to leave that place, okay? For some of us, it's online shopping, all right? I kid you not, there are people who go run to Amazon and buy things to feel better about themselves, and they're medicating with the next new thing, feeling like they're making progress, but they really aren't. They're just on a hamster wheel of buying to feel good, all right? There's all kinds of ways that we can medicate. I'm just telling you, find what your medicating substance is and stop it for a while. Let go of entertainment, like stop binging Netflix. Just shut it down for a while. Turn it off, stop paying for it, do whatever you got to do, but let go of it. Entertainment is a distraction. Allow this cycle of pursuing your dreams to become your entertainment, all right? Let entertainment be a reward after you accomplish a milestone, right? So if you're telling yourself, I can't live without my television episode, okay, great. Just tell yourself you can't actually participate in that entertainment until you have completed a realistic milestone that you set for yourself today. All right. And then inform your posse, your tribe. If your family, if your friends support you in this endeavor, then work with them. But if they don't support you, if they ridicule you, if they tell you you can't do it, if they tell you there are other more important things that you need to focus on, if they tell you to get your head out of the clouds, right, then pull back from them. There's nothing wrong with surrounding yourself with people who will drive you in the direction you want to go. And there's nothing wrong with pulling away from those who don't, okay? So let's recap key insights from today. I want to encourage you to apply the strategies that we've talked about in your life and to do it today. Like get a journal and begin to write out your goals, your why nots. How can you diminish those things? And then what are things that you need to do next to get you closer to your overall goal? What are things you need to learn in order to be able to do those things? And then how can I interrupt the cycles of misery so that I have all of the full weight of my emotions driving me toward those goals? I want to thank you for listening. I'm so excited about our next episode coming up. We'll be talking about the psychological impact of fear and how it affects our decision making. I'd love to encourage you to subscribe to this podcast if you enjoyed it. You can check out my website at posg.life. That's posg.life. I have a link to super secret bonuses on this topic at posg.life/get secret access. If you want to put in your email address, I'll email you the access to downloadable content, cheat sheets, ebook resources, journal that's designed to help you build your confidence and move your life forward. I want to thank you for tuning in. And I also want to remind you that you have the power you need to convert fear into a tool for growth. Okay. Dale Carnegie once said, most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all. Isn't that awesome? I hope you go out there and get those dreams. Please share this podcast with someone else that you know could benefit from it. And I hope you have a great day.